If you clicked on this video, you're probably trying to decide between moving to the North Shore or the South Shore of Lake Pontchartrain. Maybe you've got a job in New Orleans and you're trying to figure out if it's best to live in Metairie or in the Mandeville area. Well, today in this video, I hope to share with you some information about both of these cities, and by the end, you're going to know which is best for raising a family. You'll know which city is more affordable, which city is best to retire in, as well as everything you need to know about the real estate market. And at the end of the video, we're going to read some reviews from locals who are living in these cities to see what their thoughts are. So if that sounds like something you would at all be interested in, make sure you stay tuned, and we're getting started right now. Hey guys, if this is your first time to this channel and you want to know anything and everything about living in South Louisiana, the good and the bad things, you're going to want to make sure you subscribe and tap that notification bell as well so that you can be the first to learn about the current real estate market here. And if we haven't met before, I'm Carson. My fiance Natalie and I are real estate agents here in Mandeville, Louisiana, and we love helping people every day just like you with the process of buying and selling real estate. So if you're thinking about making a move down here, whether it's in the next 9 days or the next 90 days, whenever that happens to be, go ahead and give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or even schedule a Zoom call with us. We've got your back with a smooth move to South Louisiana. So to start the video off, what I'm going to do is tell you the distance each of these cities is away from New Orleans. Specifically, what I've done is I've calculated the trip from Metairie to the Central Business District in New Orleans, as well as Mandeville to the Central Business District in New Orleans. If we look at our maps here, you can see that Metairie is about 12 minutes away, so expect a 10 to 15 minute drive to the CBD, and on Mandeville side of things, we're about 35 to 40 minutes away from the CBD. So if you are getting a new job in New Orleans, or you're going to be in New Orleans very often, expect a 35 to 40 minute drive from Mandeville, guys. That's quite a long way. You're going to be driving across what used to be the longest bridge in the entire world to get to work every day. Another thing is you are going to be having to pay a $5 toll to get across from the Mandeville side to the South Shore. Now what you can do is get a toll tag, and you can preload 20 bucks, and then they'll only charge you $3 to get across each time. So if you don't know already, Mandeville is a more rural city, you could say, than Metairie. Metairie is like city life. Metairie has a population of about 140,000, while Mandeville's population is 10 times less than that, like 13,000 people in Mandeville, at least within city limits. So I live in Madisonville, which has a population of about 1,000. It's not like country living by any means, but Mandeville and Madisonville are a small group of people, small community. It's definitely not city life like a New Orleans or a Metairie. So if you like the hustle and bustle, you're probably going to be more attracted to Metairie than you are Mandeville. If you want just a nice place to settle down and raise a family, and we'll talk about that more later, Mandeville might actually be the better option for you. The next thing I wanted to talk about is these rankings that niche.com does. That's where I get a lot of my research from these videos, but they actually give these cities certain rankings to give you an idea of what they're really good for. So let's talk about some rankings that Metairie and Mandeville have. So Metairie was actually rated number 3 out of 228 cities in America for the best places to retire. Interesting, right? In the entire country. And Louisiana isn't rated the highest state by any means, but Metairie is rated number 3 out of 228. I thought that was pretty surprising, actually. So very good place. If any of you are looking to retire to Louisiana, Metairie might be your best option. And I know you're probably wondering what number 1 was on that list. It turns out that Scottsdale, Arizona is the number 1 place to retire in America. Who knew? So, anyways, let's talk about Mandeville a little bit. So Mandeville, I kind of gave you a little hint earlier. Mandeville is actually rated number 9 out of 303 for the best place to raise a family in Louisiana. And I know we're jumping from America rankings to Louisiana rankings, but you got to think, in the whole state of Louisiana, if your goal is to just have a nice, small, safe town to raise a family, put your kids through good schools, etc., Mandeville is one of the best options in the entire state. So if you're moving to New Orleans, you want to be relatively close to New Orleans, but your main concern is you want to raise a family and you want the best place for that, Mandeville is actually rated number 3. Metairie falls at number 40 on that list, okay? So Mandeville is a much better place to raise a family, at least according to niche.com, and I would agree with that. Mandeville is for raising a family. Metairie is best for retiring and best for those of you who are wanting that city life. So believe it or not, as far as schools go, both Metairie and Mandeville have A+ rankings for all their schools, public and private. However, Mandeville was actually rated number 10 out of 223 in the entire state for best school systems. That's pretty significant. I went to Mandeville High and I loved it. I mean, I think Mandeville schools are awesome, but I might be a little biased there. Now, the next thing I know you guys have questions about is safety. We talked about best place to raise a family. We talked about schools. If you're wondering about safety, unfortunately, I can't share any statistics. The Louisiana Real Estate Commission might get mad with me. They consider it steering if I tell you too much about safety. So do your homework, research on your own for at least this one topic for me. Just maybe Google some statistics or just see what people say about these individual cities as far as their safety goes. I can tell you from my personal experience growing up, Mandeville is a very safe place. I didn't grow up in Metairie, so I'm not going to tell you any personal experience, but you do your own research as far as safety goes. Before I get into the real estate statistics, I wanted to give you kind of a preface of how much people are making so you can kind of get an idea later on in the video about how affordable these houses actually are if you look in the grand scheme of things. What I did was I took the median household income for both Metairie and Mandeville, and here's what they were. Metairie has a median household income of $65,000 a year, about $5,400 a month, while Mandeville has a median household income of $80,000, about $6,660 per month. We're gonna take the median sales price of the homes in both of these markets, and we're gonna see what the estimated mortgage payment would be and figure out how affordable that mortgage payment actually is. So allow me to set us up here. This quarter, meaning the last 90 days, Metairie has a median sales price of $290,000. That's seemingly pretty affordable, right? Mandeville has a median sales price of $318,000. So the normal home is a little bit more expensive in Mandeville than it is in Metairie. However, Metairie actually has a smaller median square footage than Mandeville does, but in the grand scheme of things, Mandeville on paper is a little bit more expensive than Metairie. But if we factor in the median incomes in both of these cities, what you find is pretty interesting. According to my calculations, if you were going to buy the median home in Metairie and you were going to use an FHA loan, put 3.5% down, well, your mortgage payment, I would think, would be around $2,600 a month. Now remember, the median income in Metairie is $5,400. If you divide the income, you'll get a debt-to-income ratio of 48%. 48% of your income each month would go towards paying off that mortgage. Now, if we did the same thing in Mandeville, I would expect your mortgage to be $2,845. So, of course, more than what it would be in Metairie because the sales price is higher. However, with that income of $6,660, your debt-to-income ratio would only be 42%. So if you're taking home that median income, only 42% of it is going to go towards that mortgage payment, where in Metairie, 48% is going to go towards that mortgage payment. So which one is actually more affordable? On paper, if we look at medians and even if we look at averages, Mandeville is actually more affordable. However, Metairie has the cheaper sales price. And on top of that, another statistic that I like to look at is the list to sale discount, meaning a home is listed for, say, $300,000. Does it actually sell for $300,000 on average, or is there a little bit of a discount? Can you offer a little bit less and expect to get a yes? Well, turns out in Metairie you can. On average, the list to sale discount on real estate is 3.4%. So you can expect that if a home is listed at $290,000, you should be able to scoop it up for 3.4% less than that. Now in Mandeville, there's exactly a 0% list to sale discount. So I told you that the median sales price was $290 in Metairie and it was $318 in Mandeville. Well, on average, you should be able to get the home in Mandeville for exactly $318, whereas in Metairie, you can actually expect a little bit of a discount. So if you're with a good realtor and they know these statistics, they'll let you know, hey, it's probably a good idea to offer a little bit less in Metairie, whereas Mandeville, they might have another offer come through that's at full asking price, so just maybe think twice, but every situation is different, right? You can certainly scoop up a great deal in Mandeville, especially if you put out enough offers, but We're talking about averages here. And the last thing I wanted to tell you about as far as the real estate market goes is the price trend that these two cities are on. So the way I figured this out, guys, is I take the median sales price of the last quarter, so basically 91 to 180 days ago, to the median sales price this quarter, 0 to 90 days. I figure out what the appreciation or depreciation between these two numbers is, and then I annualize it. I just multiply it by 4. And that's how we get the price trend. So what we can do is we've got this little snapshot of basically last quarter to this quarter, and then we're seeing what kind of trend we're on and what we can expect. So Metairie is actually on a negative 18% price trend. That's the trend that we're on. We're on a decline. I expect Metairie homes, according to my statistics, to actually depreciate in value a little bit. It might not be 18%. It might be more than that, and it might be a whole lot less. But if we look at the snapshot that we have right now, we're on a negative 18% price trend. Mandeville actually is on a plus 16% price trend. So I expect Mandeville homes to appreciate. And again, I don't know if it's going to be exactly 16%. This is just a small window of time that we're looking at. We're annualizing it out. But as far as the actual trajectory, Mandeville's going up, Metairie's going down. But really, all that really should matter to you guys is, what is your goal? What is your goal? Do you want to be really close to New Orleans? Do you want to be close enough to New Orleans where you don't have to take a 45-minute drive and pay a toll to get across every time just to get to work or just to get to, say, the airport? Or is your goal to settle down, raise a family, or is it to retire? All these things have to be taken into consideration, and I hope that this video gave you a little bit of insight on both Mandeville and Metairie so that you can actually make that decision for yourself. Like I said at the beginning of this video, if you're looking to make a move down here, guys, just reach out to us. We've got your back. We're here to educate you. We're here to provide value, hopefully. And one way we like to provide value is this Moving to South Louisiana guide. So make sure you get your copy. I've got it linked in the comments and in the description down below. It's your free guide that tells you everything you need to know about what it's actually like to live down here in South Louisiana. And for the last segment of this video, I'm going to share with you a couple of reviews from each city. These are coming from locals who actually have first-hand experience of what it's like to live in these cities. So let's start off with Metairie. Review number 1 reads, and this was just 22 hours ago it was posted: Metairie has a variety of housing options in a range of residential areas that include some of the safest, most family-friendly options out of the New Orleans suburbs. From the charm of old Metairie to newer parts that offer malls and businesses, Metairie is a good area to raise a family and work nearby. No matter which part of Metairie you live in, the Big Easy is just a short drive away. And review number 1 for Mandeville reads, it's a beautiful city with many things to do during the day, but very few businesses stay open at night. The people are very friendly and nice. The traffic is really bad around this area, though. I will comment on that. I'll say that, yes, during rush hours, during basically on the way to work and school, 8 a.m., on the way home from work at school, 4 or 5 p.m., it does get kind of bad as far as traffic goes. However, you're not ever really at a standstill for more than a minute or two. I mean, the traffic passes within 30 minutes, at worst case 45 minutes. So the traffic is bearable. It's not the worst thing in the world. I have people calling me from California that are moving here that are telling me in places like Los Angeles, even San Diego, that they're at a standstill for an hour or two sometimes. And I don't know, I haven't had first-hand experience in California like that, but I can tell you that here it's not that bad. It's bearable. Now, the next review for Metairie goes something like this. From first living in Kenner to now living in Metairie, I see a big difference. In Metairie, I feel a lot safer, and I feel a greater sense of community. I like that the neighborhoods have different diversities in income, race, and age. One of my favorite things about living in Metairie is the close proximity to almost everything. One example is Elmwood, which has a large variety of different stores and food places all in one area. So yeah, that is true. Metairie is one of the most diverse cities, okay, around the New Orleans area. And yes, there's a ton of shopping and eating. I will say that Metairie has a whole lot more to offer than Mandeville as far as your shopping and eating, and especially things to do. There are things to do in Mandeville. One of my favorite things is the lakefront in Mandeville. I go almost every week. I absolutely love it. However, I'll be honest with you, Metairie does have Mandeville trumped as far as what you can actually do on a day-to-day basis. For the second review in Mandeville, Mandeville is a great family-friendly community with almost all amenities you could ask for. The biggest thing it's in need of are large to mid-sized employers to keep residents working in the area instead of commuting to New Orleans or Baton Rouge. I would actually agree with that. And there are a lot of people who work in New Orleans that live in Mandeville or Slidell or some other areas that are close by. A lot of them will work in New Orleans and live in Metairie, but maybe they don't have the same goals as you do. Maybe you want to raise a family, and that's your primary concern, and maybe you choose Mandeville. So like I told you, it all depends on what your goals are and what you actually want to get out of moving to South Louisiana. But that is true. There's less jobs. I mean, there's only 13,000 people in Mandeville, so there's gonna be less jobs. There's gonna be less businesses. There's more opportunities in Metairie, of course. But you gotta think, is the 45-minute drive worth it? It all depends. But that's about it for the video. I hope you enjoyed, and as always, I hope to show you around town.